Srimad Bhagavatam, Chapter 37. Sati kills herself. From a distance, Sati could hear the sonorous music made by the incessant chanting of the Vedas. As she approached the spot, she could see the Yajnashala filled with all the great rishis and all the devas, Gandharvas, Siddhas, and Charanas. She reached her destination. The Yajnashala was glowing like heaven. She looked at everyone. She looked at her father. Daksha looked quite through her, as though she did not exist. No one had the courage to defy Daksha and greet Sati. No one dared to welcome her. Only her mother and her sisters embraced her and expressed their joy at seeing her. They tried to make a fuss of her, but she would have none of it. Ignored as she was by her father, she would not look at anyone else. The realization came upon her that this was a yajna which would not give a share to Mahadeva, that it was performed with the sole purpose of insulting her Lord. Mahadeva had told her so clearly the course the events would take, the indifference which would greet her when she entered because she was the wife of Mahadeva. But she, in her foolishness, would not pay heed to his words. She remembered the sad and resigned look on his face when she had last seen him, and anger flashed from her eyes. She was so furious that words would not flow easily and distinctly from her lips. Her lips were throbbing with anger, and her eyes were red with anger. Her entire frame seemed to be like a flame without smoke. Sati looked at her father and said, "What a foolish person you are! You call yourself the enemy of the Lord, of one who has no equal in the universe. Only a fool like you will do such a thing. People can be classified into different categories. The first is the lowest type. He is called an asadhu. He will see only the faults in another man. He will have no eyes for the good in him. The second is the mediocre type. This man sees the good as well as the bad in another. There is again a third type. They are those who can find the difference between good and bad qualities, but who will treat them in a sensible manner, look at them in the proper way and proper perspective. They are called the good people. The better class of men are those who ignore the faults and take into account only what is good. But the really great souls are those who will not even look at the faults, who will not admit that there are faults. They will try to enhance even the smallest of the good quality in the other man and applaud him for it. They will ignore the faults even if they are innumerable. You, however, are lower than the lowest. You see a fault which does not exist. This is not surprising in one who does not realize the greatness of a really great person. My Lord treats you with indifference. Your behavior does not affect him, but it hurts me and I cannot brook it. My husband is called Shiva, all that is holy and good and pure. You hate him because you are a Shiva. I have heard that when his God is insulted, His bhakta should try to punish the wrongdoer. If it is not possible for him to do so, if he is too weak to oppose the offender, he should at least run away from the spot so that the words may not reach his ears. A real devotee should not have a desire to live after hearing the words of insult spoken by the hater of the Lord. I am ashamed of this body of mine which owes its existence to you, a hater of Shiva. I hate myself for being the daughter of a sinner like you. I do not want to be known as Dakshayani hereafter. This body has lived long enough. I will shed it. Sati said nothing more. She sat down dressed in her gold colored silk and closing her eyes went into a yogic trance. They were all watching her. Mentally, she controlled her thoughts and invoked the god of fire to enter her. No one spoke a word. Suddenly, her body began to burn with the fire which she had summoned, and Sati was just a heap of ashes.